The Milan Mansion in Ohio has long held a reputation that sends chills down the spines of locals. Set against a backdrop of dense woods and wild, overgrown gardens, the mansion's crumbling facade tells of its age, but it's the eerie tales of its former owner that truly haunt the townsfolk. According to legend, the mansion's owner, a woman named Evangeline Blackwood, was rumored to have been a practicing witch. Locals would claim to hear strange chanting echoing through the trees at night, accompanied by flickering candlelight through the mansion's tall windows. Some even say that strange symbols are etched into the stones of the mansion itself, barely visible under the moss and ivy that have taken over in the years since her disappearance. Despite these stories, no one has ever been able to fully confirm the truth. Some who've dared to enter say they found remnants of ritual tools, crystals, ancient-looking books, and what appear to be ritual circles drawn in faded chalk on the wooden floors. Even stranger, visitors report feeling a presence watching them, especially in the old, overgrown garden where she was last seen. One particular story, however, has kept even the bravest of explorers from returning. They say that if you stand in front of the mansion's heavy wooden doors at midnight and whisper her name 3 times, a chill wind will sweep through the trees, and the faint sound of her voice will echo, calling you into the mansion, never to return. The legend of Evangeline Blackwood had become a rite of passage for thrill-seekers and amateur ghost hunters in Milan. It was said that on the night of the full moon, the mansion was at its most powerful, its secrets thrumming beneath the surface, just waiting to be uncovered. Many ventured to the mansion, eager to prove their courage, armed with flashlights and recording devices, determined to capture evidence of the supernatural. On one particularly crisp autumn night, a group of friends Jake, Lila, Mark, and Sophia decided it was time to confront the stories head-on. They'd heard the rumors of those who had vanished after calling out Evangeline's name, but the thrill of the unknown overshadowed their fears. Armed with courage and a Ouija board, they made their way through the overgrown path leading to the mansion. As they approached, the trees seemed to lean closer, their gnarled branches intertwining like skeletal fingers reaching for the sky. The mansion loomed ahead, its tall windows dark and foreboding, and the air was thick with the scent of damp earth and decay. "Are we really going to do this?" Lila asked, glancing back nervously at the winding path they had just come from. Jake shrugged, trying to mask his own unease. "What's the worst that could happen? It's just a spooky old house." Mark smirked, attempting to lighten the mood. "Just a spooky old house where a witch practiced her magic. No big deal." Sophia, the most adventurous of the group, stepped forward, determination etched across her face. "Let's do it. If we find anything, we'll be legends around here." With a collective breath, they pushed open the creaking front door, the sound echoing through the empty halls like a warning. The air inside was stale, thick with dust that danced in the beams of their flashlights. Cobwebs draped across the corners, and the floorboards creaked ominously beneath their feet. "Let's set up in the living room," Sophia suggested, leading the way through the dimly lit entry. As they entered, they found the grand room filled with old furniture covered in white sheets, as if the house itself was in mourning. They cleared a small space on a table, laying out the Ouija board between them, the planchette sitting ominously in the center. Jake glanced around nervously, the shadows playing tricks on his mind. "Are we really going to use that?" he asked, uncertainty creeping into his voice. Sophia nodded, her excitement palpable. "It's the best way to reach out to her. If she's here, she'll respond." With the group gathered around the board, they placed their fingers lightly on the planchette. The room felt charged, the air crackling with anticipation. "Evangeline Blackwood," Sophia called out, her voice steady despite the tremor in her hands. "We invite you to communicate with us. Please show us a sign." Silence hung in the air for a moment, and then a cold breeze swept through the room, causing the sheets to flutter slightly. The planchette shifted beneath their fingers, moving ever so slightly to the yes. Jake's heart raced. "Did you see that?" he gasped, glancing at the others, who were wide-eyed with astonishment. "Keep going," Lila urged, her voice barely above a whisper. Sophia took a deep breath, her voice stronger now. "What do you want to tell us?" The planchette began to move again, sliding slowly across the board. Each letter felt deliberate, and with bated breath, they watched as it spelled out a single word: help. What does she need help with? Mark asked, his initial bravado waning. The temperature dropped, and they felt an inexplicable heaviness in the air. Shadows danced in the corners of the room, and a strange humming sound resonated from the depths of the house. Suddenly, a loud bang echoed from the upstairs, followed by the sound of footsteps slow and deliberate descending the stairs. The friends exchanged terrified glances, the excitement they had felt moments ago now replaced with sheer panic. We should go. We need to leave, Jake stammered, the color draining from his face. But Sophia shook her head, her curiosity overpowering her fear. No, we have to stay. We have to know what she wants. As they hesitated, the footsteps grew louder, echoing ominously throughout the mansion. The door at the end of the hall creaked open slowly, revealing a figure cloaked in shadow. A cold chill swept through the room, and as the figure stepped forward, the friends felt an overwhelming sense of dread settle upon them. Who dares summon me? A voice rasped, echoing through the room like the wind through dead leaves. Don't forget to subscribe and like if you liked this story. The air thickened, heavy with an unnatural chill as the figure emerged from the shadows, revealing a woman draped in a long, tattered cloak that seemed to merge with the darkness itself. Her hair, long and unkempt, flowed around her face like wisps of smoke, and her eyes glimmered with an otherworldly light, piercing through the dimness. The friends stood frozen, their hearts pounding in their chests, unable to move or speak. Answer me, she demanded, her voice echoing with an ancient authority that sent shivers down their spines. Sophia swallowed hard, stepping forward despite the urge to flee. Evangeline Blackwood? We summoned you. We wanted to talk. The witch's gaze flickered, an unreadable expression crossing her face. You sought me out, yet you tremble before my presence. What is it you desire? Jake finally found his voice, his bravado barely masking his fear. We didn't mean any harm. We just wanted to understand the stories, the rumors about you. Evangeline's laugh was soft but chilling, echoing through the vast space. Rumors are often born from truth, child. This place is steeped in shadows, and sorrows my past is woven into its very walls. Her gaze shifted to the Ouija board, and the planchette, still resting beneath their fingers, began to move again, sliding toward the letters. Help. Sophia felt a surge of determination. You asked for help. What do you need? Evangeline's expression shifted, a flicker of something almost like sadness crossing her features. Trapped I am, bound to this realm by the hatred of those who feared me. Their fears became my shackles, and now my spirit lingers here, tormented. Tormented, Lila echoed, her voice barely above a whisper. By whom? By the very souls I sought to protect, Evangeline replied, her voice thick with sorrow. They believe me to be the cause of their suffering, yet it is their fear that binds us all. If you wish to help me, you must understand the truth of my existence. Mark, sensing an opportunity, took a tentative step closer. What truth? We're listening. Evangeline gestured toward the window, where the moonlight streamed in, illuminating a small section of the floor. The ritual that cursed me was not mine, but there's a fear-fueled delusion that turned friends into foes. In their panic, they sought to extinguish my light, but in doing so, they only forged my chains. As she spoke, the shadows around her seemed to pulse, twisting and swirling like dark smoke. The atmosphere grew heavier, and the temperature dropped even further. The friends exchanged anxious glances, unsure of how to process the revelation. What do we have to do? Sophia asked, her voice steadier now. To break the curse, Evangeline began. You must confront the darkness within this house, the source of their fear. The floor beneath them trembled slightly, and a distant rumble echoed from the depths of the mansion. Only then can you free me and the souls trapped here. Jake's heart raced. And if we can't? If we fail? Evangeline's eyes glimmered, a mixture of hope and despair. Then I remain bound, and the darkness will continue to feed upon the fears of others. Just then, a deafening crash came from above, reverberating through the mansion. Dust fell from the ceiling, and the friends instinctively huddled closer together, their fear escalating. Evangeline's gaze turned serious, urgency creeping into her voice. Time is short. The darkness grows restless, eager to consume what remains of the living. You must hurry. Before they could respond, she gestured towards the staircase that spiraled up into the shadows above. Go. The answers lie within the heart of the house. Confront the fears that bind us, and you may find the key to freeing us all. Without thinking, Sophia turned toward the stairs, her resolve solidifying. We can't waste any more time. We have to do this. As they ascended, the shadows seemed to shift and breathe, wrapping around them like tendrils of fog. Each step creaked ominously, echoing through the hall, and the air grew thick with an oppressive energy. At the top of the stairs, they found themselves in a long corridor lined with doors, each one shrouded in darkness. The whispers of the past echoed softly in their ears, faint but insistent, guiding them toward the door at the end of the hall, which appeared slightly ajar, beckoning them closer. Is this it? Mark asked, glancing back at the others, uncertainty etched on his face. Sophia nodded, her heart racing. We have to see what's inside. With a deep breath, they pushed the door open, stepping into a large, dimly lit room. The walls were adorned with old paintings, their subjects twisted in expressions of fear and sorrow. In the center of the room stood an ornate mirror, its surface dark and cloudy, reflecting distorted images of the friends. What is this place? Lila whispered, moving closer to the mirror. I think this is where it all began, Sophia replied, feeling a strange pull toward the reflection. The mirror shimmered as if alive, and in its depths, they could see shadows swirling faint echoes of the past, memories of fear and betrayal. Suddenly, a cold wind gusted through the room, rattling the paintings and sending shivers down their spines. The mirror's surface began to ripple, and as it did, a voice emerged, deep and resonant, echoing through the chamber. Who dares to confront the darkness? It boomed, filling the space with dread. The voice seemed to emanate from the very walls, vibrating in their chests like a heartbeat. Shadows flickered in the corners of the room, and the mirror's surface continued to writhe, reflecting not just their faces but glimpses of something far more sinister, a scene of chaos, fear, and betrayal. Sophia stepped forward, her courage rising against the suffocating atmosphere. We are here to help Evangeline. We know she's trapped, and we want to free her. The voice roared, shaking the room. You seek to free the witch? Do you not know her sins? She is the source of the darkness that plagues this house. Jake took a step back, his breath quickening as he felt the weight of the presence pressing down on them. But she's not the one who cursed this place. The townsfolk turned against her in fear. Fear! The voice thundered, deepening into a growl. Fear is a weapon wielded by the weak. She embraced it, and in doing so, she sowed the seeds of her own demise. The mirror rippled violently, and for a moment, the friends glimpsed what seemed to be Evangeline in her prime, standing defiantly in front of a crowd wielding torches and pitchforks. Her eyes glowed with an ethereal light, and she raised her hands as if to protect herself. The crowd surged forward, and the image distorted, melting into darkness. Mark clenched his fists, his resolve hardening. No, we won't let the past dictate the future. We're here to break the cycle. Sophia nodded vigorously. The people were wrong to turn against her. We need to confront the darkness that feeds off that fear. It's the only way to set her free. Confront the darkness? The voice echoed, mocking. What makes you think you have the strength to face what lies within? A low rumble vibrated through the floor as shadows coiled around them, creating a thick fog that clawed at their minds. The air grew heavy with dread, and memories flooded their thoughts, moments of doubt, regret, and fear from their own lives, swirling together in a chaotic tempest. Sophia gritted her teeth, refusing to succumb to the pressure. We have to be stronger than our fears. Together, we can do this. She reached for the mirror, her fingers brushing against its cool surface. As she did, The reflections shifted again, now revealing each of their darkest moments, fears they had tried to bury, regrets they had never confronted. Jake saw himself as a child, terrified of the dark, hiding under the covers, while Lila faced a vision of her unfulfilled dreams, the weight of expectation bearing down on her. Mark stood before a version of himself that was paralyzed by indecision, unable to move forward, while Sophia's reflection showed a future consumed by self-doubt. The voices echoed louder, a cacophony of doubt and fear. See what you are. Weak, fragile, haunted by your past. But in that moment of despair, something shifted within them. Each of them took a step forward, standing shoulder to shoulder in front of the mirror, their hands reaching out to connect. "We are not afraid," Sophia shouted, her voice cutting through the darkness. "We acknowledge our fears, but they do not define us." With that declaration, a bright light began to emanate from their joined hands, pushing against the darkness that surrounded them. The mirror shook, the images within distorting further, and the room filled with a brilliant glow. "Impossible," the voice roared, a mixture of rage and disbelief. "You think you can overcome me?" "Yes," Mark shouted, his voice steady. "We believe in Evangeline. We believe in breaking the cycle." As their light intensified, the shadows recoiled, writhing as if in pain. The mirror cracked, fissures spreading across its surface like spiderwebs, revealing glimpses of the mansion's past, the townsfolk, the betrayal, the pain. With one final push, they combined their energy, channeling their determination into a single, focused thought: freedom for Evangeline. The mirror shattered, shards of glass exploding outward, releasing a blinding light that filled the room. The shadows screamed, a sound that resonated through the mansion, shaking its very foundation. Suddenly, the oppressive weight lifted, and the voices quieted. In the center of the room, a luminous figure began to materialize, surrounded by a gentle glow. It was Evangeline, her features softening, her expression transformed from one of despair to one of peace. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice a soothing balm amidst the chaos. "You have freed me from my prison." But as she began to step forward, the remnants of the darkness coalesced in a final, desperate attempt to hold onto its power. The air crackled with energy, and the friends felt the pull of fear trying to drag them back into its grasp. Evangeline raised her hands, her eyes fierce. "You must finish what you started. Cast the darkness away, and seal it once and for all." With their hearts racing, the friends took a deep breath, channeling their newfound strength. They reached out, linking their hands with Evangeline's, forming a circle of light that pushed against the encroaching shadows. The air shimmered with power as they concentrated, their combined wills shining brighter than ever. "Leave this place," they shouted in unison, their voices rising above the din of darkness. In response, the shadows writhed violently, thrashing against the walls as if desperately searching for an escape. The mansion trembled, the foundation shaking beneath their feet. But they held firm, focusing on their light, on the belief that they could break the cycle of fear once and for all. And in that moment, they felt the shadows begin to dissipate, their dark tendrils unraveling in the presence of their combined strength. As the last remnants of darkness were banished, a profound silence enveloped the room, leaving only the soft glow of Evangeline's spirit. She smiled, gratitude filling her gaze. "You have done what many could not. You've broken the chains of fear that bound me." As she spoke, the room brightened, a warmth washing over them, dispelling the lingering chill. "Now it is time for me to rest, and for you to carry the light of this truth back to the world." The friends watched, awestruck, as Evangeline's spirit began to dissolve into shimmering particles of light, rising toward the ceiling like fireflies escaping into the night. "Thank you," she whispered once more, her voice echoing softly as her presence faded completely, leaving the room filled with a gentle warmth. In the aftermath of the battle, the friends stood together, breathless but triumphant. They had confronted their fears, faced the darkness, and ultimately triumphed. But they also knew that the story didn't end here. As the light of dawn began to filter through the shattered remnants of the mirror, They realized they had a duty to share what they had learned. And so, hand in hand, they made their way back down the stairs, ready to tell the world about the witch who wasn't a monster but a guardian one whose spirit would now be at peace, finally free from the shadows of the past.